I've never been so glad for these cameras in my life.
Stop! Yeah. Put your hands up now. Stop, dick! Shot fired. Shot fired.
All of this is being recorded. Get on the ground!
Somebody secure my glasses, my body camera's on it.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for another episode of PD Cam. I'm Sergeant Sean Sticks Larkin of the Tulsa Police Gang Unit. Now remember, none of what you're about to see in this show was shot by a professional camera. Now our first stop is going to take us to Columbus, Ohio, where an officer came in contact with an unknown powdery substance during a drug arrest, and then began having a bad reaction. It was all caught on the body camera of one of the officers.
You okay? You all right?
They're afraid the officer was exposed to fentanyl, an opioid that can be fatal.
What is that? What is that you have?
Where? I have nothing.
No. In the car. What is that?
She called it icer. I swear to God, that's what she called it.
Fentanyl in it?
Not that I know of.
Okay, well, we have an officer having an effect right now. There's no fentanyl not in
Please
it?
don't tell me nothing like that.
He called.
Please.
Stop.
Now she said ice. Ice is a street term for methamphetamine.
Icer.
What is it? What's the then that's the generic name. What is it? Meth?
It's supposed to be meth. She said meth and ice.
Meth and ice. Go ahead.
The officers are going to administer Narcan, which is a nasal agent that reverses the deadly effects of opioids.
All right, that's too far.
Let her know we don't know.
Possible meth. We're not sure.
I can tell you this, nowadays, this is a fear that many officers face.
You're good. 151 Narcan administered. Go and lean out this way if you can, buddy.
You want to get out and just sit on the floor?
Get him. Give me another gun. Or glove. Give me another glove.
Now, because the officers don't know what the substance was, they're all making sure they take protective measures and put gloves on themselves before even touching the officer.
Getting it out.
You're all right. Calm down. Yep. Help's on the way, buddy.
It turns out the officer was actually exposed to crystal meth, which is not an opiate. Still, Columbus police officials stood by the decision to use Narcan in this case. Since the rise of the opioid epidemic over the last few years, many police departments have now made carrying Narcan mandatory. The suspect was charged with possession of drug abuse instruments. Our next story also takes place in Ohio. This time it's in Riverside, where officers have responded to a domestic violence call and the suspect has refused to show identification.
I can arrest you for failure to disclose if you want to. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm here all day.
We didn't call you.
Okay?
We didn't call
You didn't call me. Your mother called me.
For no reason.
And there's something going on with you because your eyes are all red. You look like you've been crying. I need your ID. I ain't telling you again. Let me see your ID.
Listen, dude, we got called, okay, on a disturbance. Several people called, okay? So we need your ID, or you can be arrested for failure to identify yourself to a police officer, okay? It's your last chance. Or we're going to take you out of the car, we're going to cuff you.
3 seconds. 1.
Chris.
Give us
2.
Or you're going to be charged.
3.
Wait.
ID or no?
Chris.
All you got to do is comply, dude.
Chris, come on, stop.
Let's go.
Chris.
Let's go.
Chris,
Let's go.
stop. He didn't do anything wrong, bro. Stop.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car. You're under arrest. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Let go!
What happened here is that the officer was trying to use his taser, and one probe stuck into the suspect,
Sorry, Nick.
and a second probe hit his partner.
Put your hand behind your back.
In my entire career in law enforcement, I've never heard of this happening before.
I got Nick with one probe.
Draw me another unit.
The tased officer was treated at a local hospital and released. The suspect, on the other hand, was charged with resisting arrest and obstructing official business. Now to Deltona, Florida, where several Volusia County deputies are responding to calls of a hostage situation involving children and shots fired. This was captured on 7 body cameras.
Which sounds like we got shots fired.
Central, I need all units to call out their location and if they're 10-4. Copy.
Sheriff's office, come outside! Sheriff's office! Show me your hands, now! Open the door!
Shots fired, shots fired!
He just barricaded.
Behind you, brother, behind you.
He just locked the front door. After second shot fired, subject's barricading the house has locked the front door, closing all blinds.
Bring them onto the perimeter, especially the back of the house. I don't know, shots were fired back there.
Stay on the wood line, guys.
Coming out the bedroom window. Come here, ma'am. Come to me.
That's the victim that just came out of the front window there of the house into the bushes. Watch as she tries to cross the front yard there as these two are engaged in a gunfight.
Stay down, ma'am. Stay down. Stay down.
The officers returning fire are unaware that there are children in the house.
I'm pinned down behind the tree here.
I got you, I got you.
That's the wife who was shot by the suspect being dragged away by one of the officers.
I know, baby. I know. Still inside? Yeah, that's what I thought they said.
Here! What do you got?
I got him.
Who's in the house? Which one do you have? Make sure that you have the right one. Who's in the house?
Even though they have who they believe to be the suspect outside of the house, they don't know if there's a second shooter still inside.
Your hands up! Turn around and walk towards our voice!
This officer is at the neighbor's house with the wife, while the others are holding down the suspect.
I'm next door at 19, so I got the victim. I'm okay.
The children are at the house? She said they're at the house. Should I go over there?
No. Just make sure she's okay for me.
Lock offers. Stay away from those windows.
Guys, remember, that might not be the shooter, so you stay behind cover and confirm it.
Keep walking. Go down to your knees. Keep your hands where you can see them.
Come here, come here, come here. Come here, sweetheart. Come here, buddy, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
I don't know what your situation is, but the fact that you're being cooperative and you're relaxed and you understand what happened and you're taking accountability for your actions says a lot for who you are. Okay? And I will tell them what you told me, that you were sorry for what you did. I know. All right. I'll be right back, Manny.
The suspect was charged with 3 counts of first-degree attempted murder against his wife and the police officers, and he was sentenced to life in prison. The children were all okay, and the wife was treated for her gunshot wound and released. Let's head west now to California, where a man was found holding a knife on the street. He was taken to a Sacramento hospital for a mental health evaluation.
Hey, no, ¿qué estás haciendo? Hey. Bravo 79, I got this. Run from me.
I want you to keep in mind, the officer is carrying 35 to 40 pounds of extra gear on his body as he's running.
Hey, para. Hey, upper. Hey, come here. ¿Qué estás corriendo? ¿Por qué? Quiero darte ayuda, man. Quiero ayudar.
No hagas eso.
No hagas eso.
What you're looking at now, this is the officer's body cam that has fallen off of him. However, we're still able to pick up the audio. Those are gunshots that the officer and the suspect are fighting over the officer's gun. In the academy, we are trained for this exact type of scenario in weapon retention.
Hey, man, I'm here to help you. Got secure?
Thankfully, an off-duty firefighter was passing by and jumped in to help, and together they captured the subject without anyone getting hurt. The suspect was charged with attempted murder. Now, our next story takes us to the south side of Chicago, where University of Chicago police have responded to a burglary call. When they arrive, they find a man who had been smashing up cars and apartment windows with a pipe. None of what you're about to see in this show was shot by a professional camera. This story was captured exclusively on a patrol car dash cam as well as a body camera.
21 mental. He's a mental.
The term mental is sometimes used by law enforcement officers when they're referring to someone who has a mental health issue.
I have him. Hey, sir. Hey, stop there. Stop there. Don't come at me. Come on. Hey, put down the weapon.
Yeah, what's up? What the do you want? What the do you want?
Sir, I need you to drop that weapon. Drop that weapon. Don't come at me. Don't come at me.
The officer was actually running backwards, telling the suspect not to come at him, but he still charged him. The officer then had to use deadly force and shoot the suspect.
I'll see you in hell. I'll see you in heaven. I'll see you on the other side.
Amazingly, this was the first shot ever fired by the University of Chicago police, and it sparked a major conversation about mental health on campus. Fortunately, the suspect survived the shooting and the case is ongoing. Next, we're hitting Pasco County, Florida, where the sheriff's office was on the lookout for a man who had just assaulted an officer in nearby Hernando County.
Where'd you see him last?
So you ran right through these trees?
Through here?
Yeah, you came by
The
that
search
pole.
was captured on the body cameras of two different deputies.
Oh, wait, find him. Good. 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 All right, we're on him. See, he's getting odor here.
The dog actually tracks the scent the suspect has left on the surrounding bushes and on top of the water.
Somewhere right here. Somewhere right here. All right, I got him.
Got it. Let me see your hands. Get up and pull your hands out. Get up. Pull yourself up. Yes, you can. Stop being an idiot.
There is no way they find this guy without the help of the dog.
Give me that hand, or you're gonna get tased, bro.
I don't care. I go to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
All right. Tase me. Tase me.
Give your other hand, man.
Tase me.
Listen, we got to get you out of here and get you looked at.
I know.
Because
So let's try to
this
get
ain't
up.
good, man. You're cold. The longer we stay right here, the more we're going to sink.
Yeah, I agree.
He likes you.
Tracking dogs are specifically trained not to attack the suspects that they're tracking.
Is your other one stuck too?
Yeah.
One,
All right, hold on. Let me grab the other one. You got it?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
1, 2, 3, up.
This is a big ass hole here.
All right, step up here. It gets shallower right there.
Oh my.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Tried to work for this one.
Hold it, keep pulling.
All right, we're going this way. We're gonna march off into the sunset.
Yeah, come this way. Come on. I can't breathe, bro. We're almost out of it. I understand that. I can't breathe.
Paul.
Carry me.
Paul.
Paul,
Come on, bro.
You won't let me wait. Carry me. Stand up.
Get
Just
up.
carry
Paul.
me.
Paul.
Stand up. All right, then. You can't hold on to me. That's all I was asking, bro. Come on. I'm out of breath. Okay, we're almost hold on to me. Can we get out of the water?
Hey, Paul. Don't lose focus, man. We made it all this way.
I'm not, bro.
Let's just get out of here.
I need to catch my breath.
I do too, but we're almost there.
We're almost there.
It's not healthy to be in this cold water for you, man.
He's stalling now. All these little tactics he's using, the fact that he can't breathe, taking his time. He's just trying to. Well, and he's gonna try one more time to get away.
I ain't going nowhere. Stand up. That's all I want to do. Stand up. Right there.
Come on, man.
Stand up. Hold on. Here. Come on. He's in the back.
Get up, man.
I am. Over here. Taking the deal. That gate right there?
Yeah, we will.
How long were you out there?
About an hour. His like it was real low and he was shivering and everything was kind of shutting down on us when we were in the water. He's up to about neck height water, but he's gotten a lot. He's much better than he was.
Now, joining me in the studio to tell us all about this crazy ordeal is Officer Rob Wilkins. Rob, pleasure, man.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. Watching the video, I was trying to figure out what type of dog you have there. Obviously, it varies by agency to agency. Is that a bloodhound?
That is Knox bloodhound. Our agency has 2 bloodhounds,
Okay.
and the rest are German Shepherds.
Man, so I'm not familiar with swamps. We don't have them in Oklahoma. I've watched a lot of television, seen the things that are out there. For gators or snakes or anything like that. I mean, he's potential breakfast for somebody.
So he's a new odor in the swamp,
Right.
And if he would have stayed in there long enough, they would have came over to investigate him, and he could have gotten bit.
Wow. We're on him. But what was the time frame that you guys were out here tracking for this guy? And once you got him in custody, actually get him out?
It was a couple hours from deployment. I probably tracked him a little over an hour. So the dog actually saved me at the end. I tried to get past, and the dog's like, nope, pull me back around to the same area that we had been in. I'm like, you kind of hear me get frustrated, like, come on, buddy, what are you doing? And that's when we got him.
I mean, he potentially could have died had you guys not found him.
Yeah, I guess potentially. So what made us nervous was we couldn't see his hands. We were worried about him producing a weapon.
I go to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
We all know what that means, that he's already working on his next escape plans.
Right. They're bloodhounds. They're typically not bite dogs. As we saw there as he was licking his face.
Yeah, he is solely a tracking dog. There's no handler protection at the end.
Now, even at the end there, I mean, where on earth do you think he was going? Look at you, 5 or 6 deputies, the dog out in the middle of a swamp. He's handcuffed and yet still try to run.
We're a couple hundred yards from the edge of the swamp, so there was nowhere he could go quickly anyway.
Yeah.
So
you guys probably got a warm shower afterwards. So
always take care of the dog first, though. Got a bath in the driveway, and then I took care of myself. So.
Good. Today, you want to put a shout out to your partner?
I appreciate it. Yeah, K9 Knox, he was a year and 2 months old for this track, so he's just getting started.
Well, that does it for this episode of PD Cam. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Let me tell you what, it is on body camera and video.
And everybody's watching.
1050. Get on the ground! You're gonna get bit!
Looks like they may attack her.
I'm allowed to break the law.
Somebody secure my glasses, my body camera's on it.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Sean Larkin of the Tulsa Police Gang Unit, but most people just call me Sticks. And this is PD Cam, the show that gives you a raw look at police stories from all over the country, told from the law enforcement officer's point of view. Let's get this thing started in San Antonio, where a Texas mother is leading police on a wild chase after she refused to pull over for a traffic stop. The entire ordeal was caught on a Texas Department of Public Safety helicopter camera. Remember, you won't see anything that was shot with a professional camera here on PD Cam.
Extremely high rate of speed, I'd say at least 100 miles an hour still. Traffic is light to moderate, almost struck another vehicle passing.
You see there, they're trying to use a spike strip device to disable the tires.
Highway patrol just got a spike. I went off road, looks like she's about to wreck. No, she still got it. She's now on the access across the median.
Turns out this woman is a career criminal who has numerous outstanding warrants, which is why she ran.
Looks like they're gonna crash almost. Stand by, still going. Oncoming traffic now, oncoming traffic. And now center median.
Speeds have approached 100 miles an hour at times during this chase.
Okay, it looks like her front left tire might be low. We're through a red ball intersection. She just blew through that.
You can see her tire's not even spinning any longer. She's just driving strictly on the rim.
Window. We're just passing Palms Road. She's number 3 lane now, number 2 lane. Still high rate of speed coming up to the creek. Hold here, 1050, 1050, 1050 and 2536 and military. She's in the back seat and we're running. We're running southbound from the accident,
This situation just took a very scary turn. Now that the officers know there's a baby, they've got to be even more careful about how they handle this situation.
Female with a baby is running southbound from the crash.
Okay, we're getting in a white Nissan Xterra, troops in front of it. Hold the air.
Now, I'm not sure if she's trying to carjack that vehicle or just asking for a ride.
Doors are open. Troops trying to get her out now. Female driver of this white Nissan Xterra also has a child, and the baby's safe.
107 EMS has been notified.
The mom was charged with evading arrest, possession of a controlled substance, and endangering a child. As of this taping, she is still awaiting trial in the Bexar County Jail. The baby was taken into care by Child Protective Services.
Where are you?
Next, we're heading to Charlotte, North Carolina, where officers have responded to a call of a home invasion. This footage was captured on 3 body cameras. Just a heads up, this footage gets very intense.
Well, we need this house locked down.
You good? I got it.
So the officers basically have the house contained now. The husband was not home at the time. And the suspect is coming out holding a pregnant woman hostage. These can be one of the toughest calls for officers to respond to. There is so much at risk whenever a hostage is involved.
He's got a gun! He's got a gun! Back up! Back up! Back up! Let it go!
You can see the officers are using the trees as cover as they move up towards the suspect and the victim.
Hey, somebody start getting on the back side. Whatever it runs.
Hey, get your cover, get your cover, get your cover. Do not do it!
We're back in Charlotte, where a home invasion has turned into a highly dangerous hostage situation. Just a warning, this footage is intense.
Do not do it!
The woman was able to break away from the suspect and the officers fired.
Drop the gun! Drop it now! Drop it! Let me see your hands! I'm dying!
Headquarters, start medic, we got shot. Headquarters, Headquarters, start medic, we got one suspect shot, all officers at 10-4.
Do not reach for anything! I got this hand. I'm telling you not! We're gonna get you through this. You gotta get out of here.
Even though the suspect is shot, it's important to fully search him for any other weapons.
Here's the gun. I got the 94 right here by my foot.
Police say the break-in was not random, that the suspect mentioned the pregnant woman's husband by name.
Hey, I got flashlight on you. I got flashlight on you.
The pregnant woman was taken to the hospital as a precaution, but fortunately wasn't hurt. The suspect suffered multiple gunshot wounds, but survived, as the officers began medical care before EMS arrived. He was charged with first-degree burglary, first-degree kidnapping, assault on a female, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. As of this taping, he is still awaiting trial. Our next story takes place in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where a woman was pulled over for running a red light and suspicion of driving while intoxicated. It was caught on 3 different body cameras.
Hello, how are you? Good. I'm also drawn with Albuquerque Police Department. Is there any reason you're running red lights?
No, I'm sorry.
What's that?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know I ran a red light.
You weren't paying attention? You were running a red light when you're coming off of 3rd Street over there. Or, I'm sorry, 2nd Street.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Okay, where are you coming from?
I'm coming from 3rd Street.
Okay, this on 3rd, or where were you at? Like, location?
I'm on 3rd Street.
On 3rd Street?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you know where you're at right now?
Yes, I do.
Where
I'm
are
on
you
4th
at?
Street.
Okay.
Going south.
Okay. Why don't you step out with me, okay?
I will not.
Ma'am.
No, I'm not going to step out of my
Yes,
vehicle.
ma'am, you need to step out, okay?
No,
I'm smelling alcohol on you. Your
There's
eyes
no
are bloodshot.
alcohol on me.
Don't
There's
yell
no
at me.
alcohol.
Don't yell at
I'm
me.
not yelling at you. There's no alcohol. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, you need to step out with me,
No,
okay?
I will not step out. I'm okay right now.
You're not okay, okay? I can
Yes, I
smell
am.
alcohol strongly on your breath.
No, you do not.
Yes, I can.
Because I have the right to put
Ma'am?
my window up. No, I
Ma'am?
have the right
No,
to
you
put
do
my
not.
window up.
I will break your window if I have to.
As a citizen,
No.
I have a
You
right
need
to
to
put my
roll
window
down
up.
your window.
I have not admitted anything.
I'll be honest, this officer's extremely patient.
Okay. You don't need to be answering your phone right now.
No, okay.
Because you're talking to me, okay?
That's okay.
No, it's not okay. Do not answer your phone. Ma'am, I'm giving you several warnings that you need to pay attention to what I'm telling you, okay?
Okay, the officer's beyond patient.
The cops pulled me over, so that's okay because I didn't say I did anything. Bye. No, I do not have to get out of my vehicle. I do not have to get out of my vehicle. Do not make me.
Ma'am, do not answer your phone again.
We have to give you
Well,
some
then,
tests.
then go ahead.
Okay.
I'm not going to take those tests. Guess what? I refuse
Then
them.
here's the situation. You need to step out of the vehicle so we can
No,
talk
I
to you.
will not. If you have to pull me out of the vehicle, go ahead.
I'm not going to pull
Because
you
I'm
out.
not going to step out of the vehicle.
All right, let's get out.
No.
Come on.
No.
You're going to get
You
out
need
of
to
the
come out of the
vehicle.
vehicle. Come on.
Okay. So you guys are telling me I have to get out of the vehicle?
Yes.
Yes. See how easy that was?
No. Good.
Put your hands behind your back for a second. I just want to make sure.
No, you don't have
Stop,
to touch
stop,
me.
stop, stop, stop. Do you want to do testing with me?
No, I do not.
A DWI conviction in New Mexico can result in a license suspension of a year or more and up to 90 days in jail. The suspect pled guilty in court to DWI. As of this taping, she is currently awaiting sentencing. We're back with PD Cam. This time we're heading to Las Vegas, where police were responding to calls of a man who stabbed 2 random women. This incident was captured on the officer's body cam.
Hey, drop the knife! Drop the knife! He's moving away from us. Get down! Get on the ground!
A general rule of thumb is an officer needs 21 feet of distance to withdraw his weapon and fire at a suspect charging him with a knife.
Retase. I'm gonna retase.
21 feet sounds far, but you really need that distance because someone with a knife can cover that ground in just a second and a half.
Hey, put the knife down! Drop the knife!
One of the things that's really dangerous here is any one of the citizens out there could potentially be a carjacking victim or a hostage. Remember, the guy had just stabbed 2 women.
Put the knife down. Put the knife down.
Now, it looks like a citizen's tried to use his vehicle to block the suspect off, and the suspect actually tried to get inside.
Put the knife down. Crossfire. Crossfire. Over.
The officers tried to taser, but unfortunately it hit the suspect's backpack.
Put the knife down!
These officers have now told the man to drop the knife over a dozen times.
Get out of the way!
The officer is using a less lethal shotgun loaded with rounds of beanbags in hopes of stopping the suspect, and those things hurt. After the taser deployment and 2 attempts with the beanbags and still no signs of surrender from the suspect, the officers have to resort to using lethal force. This may seem excessive, but remember, this man has just stabbed 2 women and still refused to drop his weapon even after being hit by beanbag rounds. The stabbing victims were both treated and released. The suspect was treated for a gunshot wound and charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of resisting an officer with a weapon. As of this taping, he is still awaiting trial. This next story comes to us from Florida, where Seminole County deputies have responded to sightings of a stolen SUV. It was all caught on a helicopter camera as well as 2 body cams.
Stay with it, it's in the community still. Alert, we have eyes. Turning right onto Sipes, southbound Sipes Avenue. Oh, signal 4. Signal 4 at Sipes and Celery. Bail
As you can see, police helicopters are a great tool for law enforcement.
Okay, driver's bailing, still got a passenger in the vehicle, staying with the driver. Driver is in the wood line.
So this guy just bailed out and left his girlfriend behind.
Running eastbound in the wood line. All right, hiding behind the tree, eastbound in the wood line.
But that's actually her walking now through the woods as well.
Alert, we have another outstanding south of you guys.
K9 to alert, I'm on the ground, coming through the wood line.
Keep coming. Unit that's by the tree line is going to be off your left.
The K9 teams are now tracking the suspects on foot thanks to continued direction from the air unit. They've caught the driver and are now able to focus their attention on the passenger.
Actually, the large group of cows is following her for a good visual. Looks like they may attack her.
Before the break, Seminole County deputies were tracking down 2 suspects that had just crashed a stolen SUV.
Actually, the large group of cows is following her for a good visual. Looks like they may attack her. All right, running southeastbound through the field.
The deputy in the sky, he's actually using the cows to help call out the suspect's foot chase.
If you see the large group of cows, they're literally following her and chasing her. Keep going southeast. She's pretty far into the field now.
So now we have K9 units and even cows assisting in this apprehension.
I hear.
1015, white female.
8042, 239.
8042, we got her coming to us right now.
Stand police department, come on now, you're gonna get dog bit! Watch out, back up. She's right there. Come here now! Come to me now! Back up.
I got cover.
Come to us. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Come out.
I got cover.
You got cover?
Yep.
Come out now. Come to me. Slowly. Turn around. Come here. Down. Turn around. Face away from me. Hands behind your back.
Kidnap me. Please, sir, just throw me in the car. Do anything. Ow.
Well, you ran through the woods, not us. Get your other foot in.
Ow.
What a chase. With me now in the studio is Deputy Chris O'Lordigee, who was in the helicopter tracking the suspects. Ma'am, Chris, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
So you guys are with the Sheriff's Department, and you guys actually assist the other agencies, some of them in the area that probably don't have a helicopter.
Correct, we do. The Sheriff's Office is the only agency with a helicopter in Seminole County.
So were you guys overhead right when the traffic stop actually started? Like, did they know it was stolen and that's why you guys responded? Or just fluke deal, you heard an officer on a traffic stop, so you guys went there?
We heard an officer just conducting the traffic stop, and we were literally overhead. Where you see the tape pick up is when I hit record. So from there, the action started.
St. Lance Circle. We'll stay with it. It's in the community still. Alert, we have eyes.
And that's the mapping system we can see. I mean, you can actually see the addresses for all the houses as well as the streets.
Signal 4. Signal 4 at Stipes and Celery. Bail out.
And Signal 4 is actually a traffic crash. So I was just letting the ground units know at this point that the driver's bailing, that he had just crashed, and that there were 2 occupants in the vehicle.
All right, hiding behind the tree, eastbound in the wood line.
So to me, it just looks clear as day where he's hiding. But down on the officers on the ground, that's what they see.
And they obviously don't have the heat source to look at like you do that lights them up, you know, like it's broad daylight.
Correct. So not every obstacle shows up on the infrared camera. Then I have to remember that when I'm guiding the units, that they don't have the same picture that I do. So I really have to be articulate and paint it for them. And now that the driver's been apprehended, I shift my attention now to the passenger that's still outstanding.
Actually, the large group of cows is following her for a good visual.
This one's pretty unique, obviously. You know, the pursuit, they bail out on foot, very common, happens all the time. Have you ever seen cows, though, help out in a foot chase like this or help direct people in?
This was a first for me.
Yeah.
I definitely had to hold my composure in between transmissions.
Right.
As I'm seeing this transpire, wondering what the heck these cows are thinking.
Looks like they may attack her.
I'm telling the officers on the ground to look for the cows because I figure in that terrain, it's a good visual. You know, you might not be able to see the one person, but you can see the herd of cows.
She's right there.
The IR doesn't see through the thick foliage, so I have to continually fly in a circular pattern just to get any angle possible to penetrate the foliage for the IR camera to pick up the heat signature.
Come here. Turn around. Face away from me. Hands behind your back.
As you can see from some of the footage, we have a totally different perspective.
Right.
And really the technology has evolved to where if we're up and you're still in the area, we're going to end up finding you.
We're going to find you, right. Deputy man, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Great job. Well, that's it for this episode of PD Cam. I'm Sergeant Sean Larkin, and thank you for joining us.
Let me tell you what, it is on body camera and video.
And everybody's watching.
Oh my God!
Get on the ground! You're gonna get bit!
Looks like they may attack her.
I'm allowed to break the law.
secure my glasses. My body camera's on it.
I'm Sergeant Sean Larkin of the Tulsa PD Gang Unit, but most people just call me Sticks, and this is PD Cam. Let's kick things off in Carrollton, Texas, where officers approached a small group of men drinking in a parking lot. The following was captured on one dash cam and 3 officers' body cameras. Just a reminder, nothing here on PD Cam is shot with a professional camera.
White Honda Civic. It just went out towards the Keller Springs exit.
The pursuit has now gone out onto a highway. The suspect is driving at speeds over 90 miles an hour. Officers at this point still don't know why the suspect ran from them.
Just jumped the fence. He's in the shopping center to the north of me.
There is an infant in this Civic. Infant in the vehicle.
Okay, this guy just ran from the car and left an infant child in the back seat by itself. By those cries and that small foot, it looks like it's a brand new baby. While one officer is caring for the abandoned child, several other officers are following leads on the suspect, who they find locked in a store bathroom.
Hey, come out real quick. What's that? What are you doing? Hey, this is the police department. Come out real quick. I want to talk with you. Get off the phone. Hands up. Turn around. Face away from me right now. Get your hands up right now.
Go ahead. Hands behind your back.
Turn around!
I got cuffs. I got it.
Stay down.
No, stay down.
Don't you move. All right.
He's in handcuffs. He's in handcuffs. I got your phone.
Real quick, let's check the bathroom.
The suspect, who was the infant's father, had an extensive criminal history. For this incident, he was sentenced to 10 years for evading arrest, 15 for aggravated assault on a police officer, and 2 years for endangering a child, for a combined total of 27 years in prison. Next up, we're in Seattle, Washington, where officers were called to a sporting goods store by security guards who witnessed a man steal an ice axe and threaten an employee with it before running off. This incident was caught on 4 body cameras and 2 dash cams.
2 David 88.
2 David 88.
Logs to a disturbance, Stewart Street, East Lake, Ave East.
So one officer is following the suspect as he's holding the ice axe while the other one is at the store.
Grab your bike, ride to Yale and Stewart. Yale and Stewart.
The officer at the store is now responding to help. He's actually one of Seattle's bike patrol officers.
You need to stop. Seattle Police, I'm audio video recording. David 88. We'll be at Pontius and Denny, westbound on Denny. If we can get another unit, that'd be great.
David 88 requesting another unit for disturbance, Pontius and Denny going westbound.
It's gonna be a male wearing all black, swinging an ice axe around.
Received a male wearing all black, swinging around the ice axe.
Have you broadcast this more than...
I'm broadcasting right now.
Copy, I'm on Sophie Deck.
Ask for another unit. So if he's been swinging, he's looking back at me. He stole the ice axe from our guy.
They're at Pontius Avenue and Denny Way going westbound, following a male wearing all black.
Additional units are responding to help out now.
Sir, Officer in Seattle Police Department. You are being audio and video recorded.
You need to drop the knife.
Ice axe now.
Drop it.
Drop it.
Drop it on the ground. As soon as he drops it.
Yep.
Drop it on the ground.
Hey, refusing all commands to drop the ice axe.
Drop it on the ground. Okay, I'm gonna. If I can get up behind him, I'll bear hug him.
Subject refusing all commands to drop the axe.
If you look closely, you can actually see the ice axe in the suspect's right arm.
Careful, he keeps raising that up towards us.
Now, this has gone on for several blocks, and the suspect is still disobeying all commands.
Yeah, yeah.
Drop the ice axe or you are going to be tased.
Drop it, you're gonna be tased. Drop it. Drop it now. Drop it now. Noah.
Did you see that there? The suspect raised the ice axe towards the officers, which is perceived as a threat.
You need to drop the axe.
Nick, hold up. No. Get on the ground.
Before the break, officers were engaged in a foot pursuit on the streets of Seattle with a man who had just stolen an ice axe.
Drop it now.
Sir, drop the axe. Down.
You need to drop the axe.
Nick, hold up. No. Get on the ground.
Officers move in when they think they have a chance to safely disarm the suspect.
Drop the axe. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on your back. I got cuffs. Okay. Let go of your back.
David 88, we've got the ice axe. We're taking one into custody. Tell it on to you, did he walked out with these and started spinning this around at REI? He did. He just sold both these, then started swinging this towards people.
Come on, buddy, let's get up. Okay, let's stand up. Who's at the axe? We got a car right here.
My partner does.
Let's go. All I did was I just ran up behind you and grabbed him. That's all I did.
Okay, well, let me talk. When you say, why don't you come talk to me? The reason we're talking to you is about the ice axe and stuff. I heard you read your Miranda rights. You understand those. Why are you taking that stuff?
I'm gonna go with these guys to REI.
That's your bike?
No, I don't. Yeah, it's over there.
Without getting your side of the story, all I have to go on is the fact that you stole these items, and when someone tried to confront you about it, you threatened them with it. That's a robbery.
Thankfully, no one was injured in this incident. The suspect was convicted of robbery in the second degree. He was sentenced to 15 months in prison. Next up, we're off to Albany, Georgia, where officers were responding to reports of an armed robbery. The suspect and vehicle were later spotted in nearby Lee County, where the pursuit began. It was all caught on one of the officers' dash cams. The suspect crossed multiple counties in this chase, bringing in officers from several different departments. They try a pit maneuver, but it doesn't work. They're hitting speeds of almost 130 miles an hour during the chase. Even a second attempt at a pit maneuver is avoided by the suspect. The suspect crosses multiple lanes of traffic in both directions, creating a great risk to the public. Now remember, this guy is wanted for armed robbery and has now led police on a chase across 3 counties during rush hour. They need to get him off the road. Finally, the pit maneuver works. The suspect was apprehended and later pled guilty to armed robbery charges. He received a sentence of 40 years, the first 15 without a chance of parole. PD Cam is back. Next up, let's head to Florida, where a Pasco County deputy has responded to a call of a shoplifter. This incident was captured entirely on his body cam.
Yes, ma'am. Lost fish. You got some merchandise you didn't pay for?
Oh, no, I bought the shirt.
Bought the shirt. What about the shoes that are in here?
Oh, no, I bought them.
Here you go. Here.
So the suspect was caught walking out of the store without paying for a pair of shoes.
All right.
Sir, please.
Hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. I'm gonna put you on the ground.
Please.
Put your hands.
Oh my God. Okay.
Stop resisting me.
Please. Oh my God. I'm not gonna do it.
Put your hands behind your back.
Sir, you can have
Hands
it.
on the ground.
You can have it.
You're being charged with resisting now. Get on the ground.
Please.
Get on the ground.
Sir.
Get on the ground.
I'll let you have the shoes.
I'm about to tase you. Get on the ground. Turn around.
Just take the shoes and let me go.
Get on the ground, on your back, now.
Dave, just let him have it. Just take
Now.
the shoes. Take it off.
Get on the ground and turn over.
I'll pay you.
Lay on your stomach. Lay on your stomach.
Can I just pay?
Put your hands behind your back.
Dave,
Put your hands.
can we just pay you?
Stay there.
Please.
Don't move.
Pay you.
Don't move.
Officer, please, can I just pay? Officer, please, let me just pay.
Stop.
Let me just
Stop. I'm gonna get you an ambulance first. We're gonna talk about.
Oh my
I got
God.
one detained. She's got. I slammed her to the ground. She's bleeding severely from her head now. She was resisting. I need fire rescue. Coach.
So when she resisted arrest, she was taken down to the ground and resulted in a cut to her head.
No, you don't resist. You talk after. You don't negotiate with me. Will you watch her so I can get her something to put over her head?
Now, like most use of force incidents, this thing could have all been avoided if she did as she was told.
Stay there. Relax. Relax. I want to get you taken care of first. Okay. That was completely avoidable.
I didn't.
You just had to listen to me. I wasn't trying to be mean. All I said was put your hands behind. I gave you 10 chances. You pulled away, and then you tried to kick at me.
No.
Yeah, you did. Dude, I gave her every opportunity in the world, man. Even if she would have gone down on the front like I was trying to do her, she pushed off the freaking wall and kicked back on me. So that was sheer accident. I'm rolling. She was resisting from me. I went to go do a takedown. She pulled away, pushed her up against the wall. She tried to push off the wall, and then it slammed her. Her head just went. She went straight back. Should be good. Let me just lock this so it doesn't get any tighter on her wrist.
The suspect was taken to the hospital where she received 2 staples to close the cut on her head. She was convicted of petty theft and resisting an officer without violence and sentenced to 1 year of probation.
Ocala Police Department.
This next clip comes to us from Central Florida, where officers are responding to a domestic disturbance complaint called in by a neighbor at a nearby apartment.
So who's our actual witness to this?
Right here. So she's in this apartment, and this is the subject apartment.
Okay.
She says the walls are paper thin. She could hear him beating her up inside. She could hear her crying. She could hear the kids crying, and she could hear him yelling at her.
Did we hear him inside or anything?
No contact. He thinks he heard somebody come lock the door when we were knocking on it.
Like somebody jiggling the deadbolt lock.
This is the plan.
Okay.
If the girl comes, if somebody comes through the door, the second person behind Hilton is going to yank her out, and everyone else is just going to rush her.
Okay.
So, Ocala Police Department, please open the door.
Officers have determined that the suspect in this case is known to be armed, so they're proceeding with extreme caution.
The door's been unlocked.
No.
The door has been adjusted. I don't know if it's unlocked
Yeah.
or not.
So, Ocala Police Department, please open the door.
Careful, it might be a kid.
Okay. Don't open the door. No, just wait.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were in Ocala, Florida, where officers have surrounded an apartment while responding to a domestic disturbance complaint.
So, Ocala Police Department, please open the door.
Careful, it might be a kid.
Okay. Don't open the door. No, just wait.
Come on.
Ma'am, come on. Come out.
Come out. That's for what?
Come on.
Come on. Excuse me. No, come on. Come on. Come on. No.
These are sensitive scenes to respond to when there are children involved.
Come on. It's okay. Come here. It's okay. It's okay. Hang on.
Are there more kids?
Yes. But nobody's caught. Why
Is there more kids in there?
No.
The officers are able to get the children and the girlfriend to safety, which means they can now focus all of their attention on the suspect who's alone inside the apartment. That's the Ocala SWAT team you see there now.
Earl, we have the whole apartment surrounded, so let's end this. Come out and talk to us. Come on out, Earl. Earl, come out and talk, man.
Relax for a second.
Further this goes, the worse it's gonna be.
The officers are doing what's called a break and rake by breaking the window out so they can have a visual look inside.
Movement in the hallway.
Right.
Earl, come out! Earl, come out when you see your hands if you're in there.
He's in there. He went back inside.
Hands up! Hands! Let me see hands! Walk, turn around.
Come to me.
Turn around, walk backwards towards me. Keep your hands up. Keep walking. Keep walking. Turn around. Keep walking back towards me. Keep walking back.
Down, 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 down.
Down on the ground.
On the ground.
Down.
On the ground.
On your face.
Get on
Down.
the ground. Taser. Good.
Stop fighting. Do not move. Put your hand on your back. Stay on your stomach. Flex.
Just keep your hands behind your back. Earl, do you have any weapons on you?
What you got?
Nothing? Shotgun here in this bedroom.
What you got?
It's on the inside wall.
So you got a bandolier back here, ammo cans. You got 12 gauge.
And then that pistol and the shotgun.
So we got that.
The suspect was charged with possession of firearms by a felon, grand theft statutory property, violation of domestic violence injunction, and resisting law enforcement officers. This was a great example of police working in tandem with a SWAT team to bring a peaceful end to a tense situation. With me now in the studio, Officer Trevor Barth and SWAT team officer Jared Sigg. Guys, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it, man. So kind of walk us through that day. What was the call initially that brought you guys out there?
A neighbor called about a disturbance in the apartment. She could hear a woman screaming and a man yelling and kids crying.
Now, from my understanding that the male suspect that didn't want to come outside, did you guys learn that he, was he wanted, any outstanding warrants for his arrest or anything like that?
Yeah, there was a warrant for felony domestic battery. And I think there was also notes in there that he was armed and dangerous.
So, Officer Sigg, the determination is made for you guys to respond out there. You're on the SWAT team. You get the call out. See you up there running that shield. So you're kind of that point guy.
Earl, we have the whole apartment surrounded.
It's where every guy on that team wants to be. Everybody wants to be the first guy. Everybody wants to be the one that gets to do work and gets to help their team the best they can. So it's great being up front. You see a lot, and you really rely on everybody else on that team as well.
Officer Barth, man, tell us about your mindset once you, get up there to the door.
Try to figure safety first. Try to get the lady and the kids out.
So, Ocala Police Department, please open the door. We can't leave until we verify everybody in the house is okay.
This right here is the first time we actually make visual contact with anybody, or audible as well.
Come on, man, come on.
And let me ask you this, how many kids were inside?
I think there was 3 or 4. I was worried about getting them out. I didn't actually pay attention.
Right.
We were just trying to get them out and find out if there were more inside that we needed to get out.
Is there more kids in there?
No.
Okay, so the suspect's alone in the apartment now. Are you guys able to communicate with him at all?
For several hours, we tried to establish some sort of contact with him, try to make him move something. We used electronic devices to try to locate him in there. None of it worked. The only thing we could hear was what sounded like the loading of a magazine.
Down on the ground! Get on the ground! Down!
There were weapons stashed all throughout the house. They showed the photo of the shotgun leaned up there. Just above that, there was a loaded handgun. There was ammo throughout the residence. And then there were large knives stashed all over the residence, probably half a dozen of them.
Which is obviously, from our standpoint, law enforcement, that's what's concerning,
Right.
knowing we're going to end up going in and dealing with this guy.
Right. They're like strategically placed weapons.
Right.
And he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, he is a good-sized guy.
Big guy and a violent guy.
Earl, do you have any weapons on you? What you got? Nothing?
Going out on a call out like this involves patrol, involves a SWAT team. What's this like compared to, any other typical day that you have or any other typical call out you may have?
There's no such thing as a typical day. One day you go to what this call came out as a disturbance, and it's somebody arguing over the last thing in the fridge or whatever. This call came out as a disturbance as well, and obviously turned out to be a whole lot more.
Every day is different.
Every day is
It's always a different day.
You never know. It's kind of one for the books, huh?
Yeah.
Guys, man, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
You guys both did a fantastic job. So that's it for this episode of PD Cam. I'm Sergeant Sean Larkin, and thank you for watching.